Where I am now, in that direction on the top of the mountain in the haze, you can see Jerusalem. In this direction you can just make out the Jordan Valley, and behind me down in here is Jericho. Just here behind me you can see the old Roman road, and this is the road that the British fought all the way down through here, British infantry, to take the Turks and push them back into the Jordan Valley. And then once they reached the Jordan Valley is where the ANZACs took over with their horses. Of course it was a lot easier. And the ANZACs often mentioned their respect for the young British soldiers, because all the way down this road apparently there were lots and lots of graves of the young British soldiers that lost their life here. When you look in this direction behind me is the wilderness of temptation, the mountain of temptation. In the valley just underneath me here there's a Roman aqueduct, 2,000 years old, still standing. Apparently Herod built this system for his summer palace. And then just down in here is a monastery that still stands, and it's above what is believed to be the cave where Elijah hid from Jezebel. You just can't take in the history and the amazing things of these hills. Right behind me you can just make out the Jordan River in the valley, and behind that in the haze is the land of Moab. This is right where Joshua led the children of Israel to come across into the promised land. Behind me in this direction is the city of Jericho, just a few kilometres away. And down in the Jordan Valley in that direction, they say, is where John the Baptist was baptizing. This is where Jesus came down from Galilee and was baptized. And of course Zacchaeus climbed the tree here in Jericho. Anthony, Cleopatra, King Herod. This area has everyone's name attached to it. And of course it was in February 1918 when our ANZACs and British troops first made their way into the Jordan Valley. From where I am now, I'm facing the very northern tip of the Dead Sea. It's only about a kilometre in that direction. And about 10-15 kilometres in this direction is Bethlehem. This is the Wadi Qumran, and this is the very first place that ANZAC, the 1st Regiment, came down through here to begin taking the Jordan Valley. The New Zealanders were up on top of those hills behind me, and they got rid of the Turks and then worked up northward towards Jericho. If you look behind me, these hills are marked with little caves. This is Wadi Qumran. This is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Now, many of the guys in their diaries mention that there were ruins down here at the top of the Dead Sea that they were visiting. It wasn't until 1947 that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in one of the caves just up behind me here. And right along this area there are numbers of significant archaeological finds with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Isn't it interesting, in 1918 our guys were down in this valley mucking around, playing around, having time off in this area, and Providence didn't see it that one of them would stumble into the cave and find the Dead Sea Scrolls. I think the Archaeological Society would have been stressed out if ANZACs had have found the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1918 instead of the little shepherd boy that found them in 1947. Tradition has it that when Joshua led the children of Israel over the Jordan River, he brought them up to here, about 10 kilometres north, to an area somewhere here called Gilgal. And here is where he actually circumcised all the males. Now they say that he was being really smart because it would deter all the males from getting involved with any of the women when they come in to take over the Promised Land. But before they took over Jericho, they waited up here. And so this hill that I'm on now is quite logically the hill of the foreskins. Gilgal was called Rollback, and I guess we can only be thankful with the ANZACs that their commanders didn't have the same thing in mind for them. So by late February, this small hill was where the line stopped, and it remained here for 7 long summer months until the September offensives. Just a kilometre south of this is the Wadi, or the creek, Auja. And you might recall that the river where the line stopped over on the coast was also called the Auja. Consequently, the whole front line was called the Line of the Two Aujas.